Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of the Everything Horror Podcast. And with me tonight, which you're listening to me ramble, which is Paul Dolsky. And joining me is my partner, Stacy Cox.
Hi.
Hey, Stacy, thank you for joining so much. And so here we are talking with a new celebrity. Well, I guess you could maybe call it new, celebrity. New. And with us, we got Wayne Fobbs. Wayne, how's it going?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. How are you guys? We're down here in Miami. Had a screening of the movie. Becky, we're doing pretty good, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
Well, thank you for contacting us, by the way. Because so real quick, Wayne, you started Frightbox features last month or near the end of the month, right?
Yeah, we already shot our film Becky, and I was really just trying to figure out what label do I want to put it under. I knew I wanted. I mean, obviously need to have some sort of production house or production name, and I was just back and forth on a lot of different, just different things to call what we had. I have a feature and a short film, so just trying to figure out just what to call it, and I finally arrived at something I was comfortable with. Frightbox features.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, what got you into like the genre of the horror and stuff to make you want to do like your own stuff?
Yeah, man. Well, for me, I've always done horror like on some level. I've been gradually more and more introduced to it. I actually grew up in a house that was like the complete opposite of horror. It was a uber Christian house, man. No Harry Potter, no Halloween, none of that stuff. But and when my parents separated, my dad actually he was into a lot of Jason movies and things like that. And you all probably remember when AMC used to show, they would show Dracula and the original Frankenstein and things. He was into those, and Invasion of the Flying Saucers. He really liked a lot of those movies. So I kind of got it from him. What thrust me into the genre really is I'd always done some sort of media in a professional setting. So I've worked in radio as a production assistant. I've worked in news, sports reporting across the country. But I've always wanted to make movies. I wanted to make something cool. And when I had the chance, I picked up the genre that I liked the most, horror. And I guess the movie that really thrust me all the way into it, honestly, as crazy as it is Paranormal Activity. To me, it was just... At the time when I watched it, to me, it was just such a different horror movie than anything I'd seen. It, for the simple fact that nothing else, it happened in the daytime. It's the middle of the day, and they're still able to kind of creep you out. So it opened me up creatively to the genre, and I really never looked back. Just fast forward a couple years later, I did a web series that was kind of horror, more horror comedy. But finally honestly just grew a pair and decided to make my first horror feature. And it's called Becky. And I'm glad I did. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Nice. Now, did you take any classes for like directing for behind the camera? Like any type of like how to get the lighting right? Did you do any type of classes like that?
And see, that's the thing. I have, but then I haven't. Just working in TV when you're working in smaller TV markets that that aren't necessarily a Boston or Miami or New York. You're in those places, you're kind of doing everything. You're setting up the lighting for your own interview, you're writing your own interview. In my case, when we're doing sports, I'm directing every night what we're going to put on there. And so while it wasn't in a filming sense, the idea behind it, it's the same idea whether you're making a movie or doing something in news. It's all media. So, you have to, you're working with a bunch of different people. You're navigating a bunch of different personalities. You're working with a tight budget. You're navigating what to do when things don't go right. That's really what makes that's what goes into a successful newscast. And it really is the same thing I found that goes into making a successful film. The best people, the best directors are the ones who stay and finish it. And I'm proud to say that we've done that.
Very fair. Yeah. I mean, so how did you even get like the name Frightbox anyway? Like why did you want to call it that? Like the Frightbox features?
Well, it's funny. I was trying to find what would really fit, and I wanted to do like a play off of my last name, Fobbs. So I was thinking Fobbs is Frightmare or Fobbs is Frightbox. You know what I'm saying? But those kind of sounded just a little too corny. And just the term Frightbox I came up with. If you remember the old Fox Kids logo from the early '90s, I've always liked that logo. With the TV and the kind of static in the back look that they have. I've always liked that, and so I looked to that for a little inspiration as well. And so I just dropped the idea of using my last name for Fobbs' Frightbox or what have you. And I just decided to come up with Frightbox features. We're making horror features. So just kind of a simple, catchy name for people to remember. So that's a roundabout way of how we came up with it.
Nice. That's always cool where like old icons, like old TV shows and stuff will grab your attention for inspiration. And like besides what you mentioned, like a couple of my favorite shows is like Are You Afraid of the Dark and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that was a genuinely scary one. That was, to me, Goosebumps was always kind of the offbeat version, but Are You Afraid of the Dark? It felt like that serious kids horror show. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot scarier, a lot more realistic to me. And that's not to take away from Goosebumps, though.
Well, Goosebumps is Goosebumps. I mean, I think we all love Goosebumps, but I think though, like when it really comes down to it, we need to look at Are You Afraid of the Dark anyway, because there is moments where when I was watching it as a little kid, and I was just actually terrified because I was just like, "Oh my god!" It's like
right, yeah, like this is a kids show. That's back when Nickelodeon could be a little edgier, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And then now they want to bring back Are You Afraid of the Dark this year or next year for a new season. And so, like a modern day Are You Afraid of the Dark? So it's like, whoa.
Oh man, I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Same. And I didn't get a chance to actually see your short film, Deacon there, Wayne, but was that your first little project before Becky?
Well, no, it's actually, we shot Becky first. So we shot that last year. And, just looking at, you were talking about, just going back to the past and looking at some of that stuff for inspiration. I remember my granddad telling me, in his day, before a Warner Brothers movie, you'd have a Looney Tune, or you have a short cartoon from Mickey Mouse and Pixar. They still do that today. So I wanted to do something. I looked at that for inspiration, and I wanted to do that for when I had my screenings around the country for Becky, and also just to give people that little bonus content. So in April of this year, I wrote Deacon, and we went out and shot it just so I'd have a short feature to go with Becky. And really it was easy because, after shooting that feature, it had everything happening that went down the way it did and things like that. Deacon was really a walk in the park. And so we were a lot stronger for it. So it's honestly, if I had to pick one, Deacon is my favorite just because of the climax and how things roll. But yeah, we shot Becky first and then Deacon this past April.
Oh, wow. Now, how long did Deacon take to shoot it?
We shot that in a day, believe it or not.
Wow. How many hours then?
Let's see. We started about 7 a.m. and we ended about 7:30 or so. So we did about 12, maybe 13 hours. And just with a little lunch break in between for the cast and crew.
That's not that bad for a one-day shoot.
Not at all, man. One thing I like to pride myself on is just being as efficient as we can, and just kind of keeping our plot simple, and just allowing our actors now, just allowing them kind of the freedom to move around, within the world and within the story, so, and that's why I try to keep my scripts as simple as I can, just to give them that space. And it also, giving them that space kind of helps them grind through that 12, 13-hour day.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And for those listening real quick, Wayne, is what can you tell us about a little bit about Deacon and Becky?
Yeah, so Deacon's our short film. It follows a crazed pastor, church deacon, I should say, and his wild ride into church with several unsuspecting passengers. He's basically done a horrible deed, we'll say, and it's on the two passengers in his car to figure out what's happened and put a stop to it. And they do in an interesting way. And as for Becky, that's our feature film. It's a what I call a twisted take on one of my favorite classic horror stories, I should say, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So it's a take on that. and it follows a bloodthirsty white woman she lives inside of and takes over this black man's body, literally shape shifts from him to her form, and his girlfriend has to figure out what's going on and put a stop to it. So yeah, we just have two fun features for horror fans to enjoy.
Fair enough. And I got to see a little bit of Becky. I know Stacy here has watched it all, and I know she was wanting to ask a few questions. So Stacy, I'll hand it over to you, and I'll try to come in when needed.
Okay.
Hi, Lane.
Hey,
how are you?
I'm all right, Stacy. How are you?
I'm good. Congratulations for Becky being your debut feature, and it was actually a really great concept. And just that whole different take on Jekyll and Hyde was something interesting to see. Of course, it's much different from other films. I do want to ask, what was the whole persona of Becky? Not actually the movie per se, but the character of Becky. Can you elaborate on her, like her overall character for me?
Yeah, so Becky in our story, our protagonist, our black guy Eric, he needed a blood transfusion, and whoever donated this blood to him, it was some pretty aggressive DNA, and It was from this white woman that just has just this just penchant for just raw human emotion, just murder, lust, fantasy, all those sorts of things. So she's a human, I would say, in the sense of the definition, but she's more really just these raw feelings that people have and that they get and normally don't act on, but she has no problem acting on any of those, and that's really what makes her so dangerous.
Okay, so she's kind of like a succubus of human emotion.
Exactly. I would call it a shape-shifting succubus of human emotion. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned on the site, that there are major problems of how Black Americans are portrayed in film and TV. Can you please elaborate on this statement, as well as how you're using Frightbox features to, change this?
Right. So, and the thing is, there is a lot more representation of Black women, but when I look at, what the offerings are, they're really just the same caricatures that we've seen, multiple times over, just really sexually based, or, somewhere in a lower income community or struggling and things like that. But the thing is, what's happened now, I see there's a Black woman as the face of it, so a Black woman created it, or something like that. And so what one of the major things I want to do with Frightbox features is, and what I try to do is show Black women in a different light. My mom and sister, who I grew up with, they were just regular, just great women. My sister, they're both educators. My mom's an assistant principal. My sister's a teacher. And I don't see a lot of them. And even my girlfriend, who's a teacher, also, crazy enough. But I don't see a lot of those women on TV. I don't see a lot of their representation. And so we really just try to do that. And if you look at Becky, it's just a young woman just trying to build a life with, the man she loves. She's not really trying to do anything just too crazy, just build her life. And because we make them such normal characters, I think that the horror pops even more. Just the more mundane they are, the horror that Becky causes and afflicts on them, it causes it to pop that much more. I really think that when it comes to just different representation of women, I always ask, and admittedly I didn't do this with our main character, but where are the women who are in STEM, the Black women who are in STEM job? Where are the women who are working in science or technology or things like that? The only ones I can think of is Doc McStuffins, honestly. When I look across media, or maybe Grey's Anatomy, but I mean, that's that. I mean, somebody even asked me how many people are watching Grey's Anatomy still, and truthfully, I don't know. But those are, if you really, you kind of have to dig deep to think about that. And that I think that's female characters in general. I'm like, where are more women in STEM? And so for our next film, I would like to make sure that we do that. But that's what I try to do. Just really use the horror label to create just some different, I would just say different black female characters that you don't always get to see.
Thank you. Now, revisiting when you said, they create this or they create that, or they cause this, they cause that. I'm not really sure I understood exactly what you meant right there. So I was asking, like, maybe some films that you've seen that can, like, back that up. Some examples.
Oh, just how the images haven't really changed over time?
Right.
Okay, well, not necessarily in the horror genre, just really just in general. There's always the sexualized women of image of black women. I was looking at just my major when I was at Texas A&M there. It's communication media studies, and it's basically we would study different images of media and just see how have they shifted over time or have they stayed the same, and develop theories off of that. And I remember there's these censored 11 cartoons that come from Looney Tunes, back in the 1940s, just some of offensive images of black people, and one of the few times that black women are seen in a Looney Tunes cartoon, there's one called, I think it's Charcoal Black and the Seven Dwarves. You can actually see that on YouTube. It's a really offensive, just overly sexualized, voluptuous looking black woman. There's another cartoon they had called Clean Pastures, and it's women, these short mini skirts, what I'm saying, just be looking, very, very sexual. And then you fast forward to today, you have, today you have certain images where I look at on Netflix at Spike Lee's his newest TV show, She's Gotta Have It. Now there's a black woman who is the face of it. They'll tell you black women are writing it, they're doing those things. But I look at the image, when I look at the cover of it, if She's Gotta Have It, she has her finger in her mouth, looking very sexual. So that's the first thing we find out about this woman. It's not that she's accomplished something or that she's going to solve a problem. It's her fingers in her mouth. It's a sexual connotation. And then you even look at the film from a couple years ago, Girls Trip. The whole poster looks, it's just a sexual representation of black women. And then, being sexually free, there's neither here nor there. But when the problem I see is when those are the only images that are prominent, when there are no other options shown, that to me, that's a problem, because you're telling, the message you're sending is this is all you have. This is your only option of how you look. So where Frightbox comes in is really, just adding to the images, adding and saying, hey, this is also a representation of black women as well.
Yeah, thank for that too, Wayne. But to shine in on that, Wayne, too, is that also the inspiration of that one particular scene in Becky where, I don't want to say too much, but we see the African-American female look at the guy's phone and see like those sexy pictures from that lady from work? Is that where that inspiration came from?
A little bit. And it really was. It was just to kind of, the entire movie was just to kind of put the wholeness and just make black women seem, not seem, but just add to the image of, this woman just trying to build a life. We don't see too many images of black women just, building a life with their significant other, using their brain to solve something. And so that's what that was when she was walking back. When she was walking back into the office and picking those up, that was kind of where I wanted to go with that. And it was really also as well, but at that point in the movie, hopefully you understand that, she's just, that she's just, a normal woman, just a normal, I don't want to say housewife, but a normal girlfriend. And so when she sees those naked images, it's just, it makes it pop, just like, oh my God, and I really just wanted just women who, again, who are I don't want to say prudish. I won't say that, but just those other women who don't have those images of themselves represented. If they were looking at that, how would they react?
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that. And
Thank you for that clarification. So like going forward with your features, what ideas will you be portraying to solve this issue as far as Black Americans in the horror community? So are you like creating more characters such as was her name? I think her name was Shay in the movie.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So are you like essentially creating like more roles like that, or is that what you're doing?
Right. So yes, in a word, yes.
Okay.
You know, just having a lot more shades, as you would say. Just a lot more of her, and really just and not even just stopping there with as images of Black men too. You know, there's another script that I have and a concept in the works. It's an alien attack, but the protagonist is a Black father, and he's a trucker, and he's taking his daughter, across California back to Texas, and they run into this alien, But the thing is, we're not. My thing really is that we're not calling attention in the movie and saying, "Hey, here's a positive Black dad. I'm a positive Black dad." No, we don't have to say that. Just show it. This is not a knock on the gay community. I have friends in the gay community, but what normalized, a gay marriage for us and things like that, and our friends who are LGBT, what normalized it for us was we just saw images of gay couples on TV. Like the two dads from Modern Family. They have a kid and everything. They a lot. They don't spend every episode saying, "Hey, here's a gay couple." It's just let's just show them they're just living their lives, and that normalized it for us. And so that's what I try to do. I'd say, "Hey, here's a quality Black female character right there." No, she just is. She just is. And over time, after we keep pushing that out, that normalizes it, and that makes it okay.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm sorry, forgive me. What is the audience that you are essentially promoting to?
So my audience is targeting twofold. One is targeting Black horror fans, Black horror and sci-fi fans, really, because horror could be considered under the sci-fi genre. With our film Becky, there's the science element, with his blood transfusion and things like that. So and actually today we're here in Miami. We came from an event called LitCon, and it was a Black sci-fi horror convention. So I'm going after that audience with the movie, and then just horror fans in general. When we had our screening today, we had a good mix of both. There were some Black sci-fi and horror fans who wanted to see it, and we had a good population of our white audience who just enjoys horror and just wants to see something different. So really just going after those two audiences helps build Frightbox up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Wayne, what are your future ideas? You were talking a little bit by email about you have some project in mind. So could you please, if you can, explain to us what you're kind of working on and what we can see in the future of Frightbox features?
Yeah, so first with just Becky and Deacon, we're taking it on the road. We're lining up different sci-fi conventions. Like, every time I go to one, I have 3 offers for another one to go to, which is great. So just look for us around the country. Our Instagram is at Frightbox Features. Frightbox Features. You can get updates on there and all the shenanigans and stuff and fun we do. But as far as specific projects, I know immediately we're going into. It's funny. There's a guy where we're based out of in Atlanta. He wanted me to just basically make an actor reel for him. He just reads a monologue, but I told him, hey man, I can just just pay me a little bit, just whatever, and I can make a full horror short for you, because that's how he found me. That's how he wanted me to kind of come in and help him. And I told him like, hey, I can just make you a whole horror short. So we did, and next month we're going to be shooting that probably towards the middle or end of July. It's basically about a kind of I was inspired basically with the entire back window in my car is missing. In my Toyota Corolla, it was smashed out, and I believe it was by a deer because nothing was stolen. And we're seeing, as we encroach on their territory, what's been theirs. We're seeing a lot more of these animals attack. So basically, that's what's happened to this main character, and they've got to go back and find this large phantom deer. So it's kind of a Jaws in the woods. A short story like that. So that's what's next immediately. And after that, I've always wanted to do a black sorority slasher movie. And so we're finally going to at least start making just a teaser for that. And for that one, I would call it Sorority Row Meets Girls Trip. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think people will enjoy that one.
Sounds like a good time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And so, like I said, it's Frightbox Features. That's where we are. If you just want to follow me, I'm Fobbs, the chairman on Facebook. I'm Fobbs, the chairman. And Frightbox Features, on Facebook, on Instagram, and Frightbox Features as well on Instagram. And, we're just always trying to build. And really, it's just I've always learned to be a giver of yourself. It's just about, at the end of the day, just giving that time so that other people can have opportunities. We almost didn't finish this movie. We almost didn't finish Becky, but I wanted to finish really for myself, but even more so for the people who had stuck around and put in the work. And I even told them that, our main star, Becky, she came with us. She came down to Miami as well. The woman who plays Becky. And I just told her that too. I did this for y'all. I finished it for you guys. I want to give you all the opportunity. And so I'm glad to use Frightbox Features for that as well.
Speaking of which, out of curiosity, Wayne, how are you getting funds for your movies, or are you even having any sort of budget at all?
Well, a lot of it is Uber drives, a lot of freelance work that I'm doing, and just calling in favors, just being real creative. For our DP who finished the movie for us, the agreement was, if you come out for these couple of days, just help it, finish the movie, let's get it done. I'll come out for your 48-hour film festival. I'll just be an extra set of hands. I'll carry something. I'll do anything. So we reached that agreement. For our short film Deacon, I was even able, all of our actors were paid X amount. But one of our actresses who I was working on a web series of hers, just coming out on weekends, just putting in that work. I would like the money. I need the money, but what I mean? Just saying, don't worry about that. I'm just here to help you. I'm here for that. And she reciprocated that by saying, yeah, you don't have to pay me. It's okay. Cause you've helped me out, help you out. So it's really just a lot of that stuff. It's just going back to, like I said, being a giver of your time, and that definitely, if nothing else, it helps you lower your budget and get it closer to zero. But it is also funded by me.
Fair enough. And since you mentioned Becky was almost not made, what were some of the struggles that you were facing?
Well, one of our PAs broke a light. We were already on a very tight budget, and one of our PAs broke a light. So I had to get that replaced. We rented that out. But because we rented those lights out, I had to replace it and pay it. But because of that, it set, the pay scale, not the pay scale, but the payment schedule back for everyone. I just wanted to pay everybody X amount a week. It's kind of like a regular production would. And one of our lead actors, actually, she basically wasn't in agreement with that. So, she dipped out. She left the production. I ended up paying her in full, just to fulfill the agreement that she signed. But we didn't have her to finish, so it was a quick rewrite and edit down without her. And so that happened. Our one of our DPs left. Our first DP left the production about a week into it. But you can't make it up. You can't make it up. His mother did not want him a part of it. He was a younger guy. He was like, maybe, what was he, 21, 22, but really, really good, So I gave him an opportunity, and his mother did not want him a part of it because he was staying out late. And so it was just little things like that. But so as a result, instead of just shooting it all for 1 week in June of last year, we shot what we could in June and then came back at the end of August to close it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just wanted to say, what it did though was just it makes you a lot stronger. It makes you really confident that, hey, I can do this. This is like, people don't want to make films because of this nightmare scenario. Well, we've been through the nightmare scenario and we still made something,
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I mean, like I'm in the process right now of trying to hopefully film my own short film here in my hometown. And after listening to some of you guys, and what I mean by you guys is like indie creators, like after talking with you guys about what kind of techniques that you guys used or whatever, I'm trying to like remember what I've heard, so when I go into it to try to find people, I find like the well-prepared, the well-dedicated people. And speaking of which, Wayne, what as an indie maker, creator, what some advice would you give to somebody like me who's trying to start, or other people that are trying to start making their own film?
Well, I would say figure out kind of what your budget is first off, and just kind of what you're working with, and then write to that, and people say, what do you mean write to that? I would say, think first off, have it happen in one day, because if a story happens in a day, guess what? You don't have to pay for different wardrobe. So that takes down your wardrobe budget. If it happens try to make it happen in as few locations as possible. Our short film Deacon, we saved a lot of money because it primarily takes place in the car. The car was mine. Becky took place primarily in my girlfriend and I's house. So you save on locations that way. Just really that's what they mean when they say really write to your budget. And then after that, just try to find actors and crew members that you kind of know. You know what I'm saying? They're just some people that you are kind of familiar with, because when it is a long day or stuff like that, they're not going to walk out on you. Because you have a rapport with that person, you can be a little more time intensive with them, excuse me, and then the next thing, just go out and do it, just go out and do it. There's always going to be that fear. I get nervous every time before a screening. I get nervous every time before we start shooting something, just embrace it. Let those butterflies get around in your stomach. It's good for you, because you're growing, you're actually doing it, and then just do it, and just be ready to roll with the punches. It's gonna be, it can be an emotional roller coaster ride at times, but I think if you embrace that, the people who are successful I found in this business, and I'm just honestly, this is our first feature. I'm not trying to sound like Steven Spielberg or anything, but just when I talk to other indie film people too, I found that the best ones are just the ones that roll with the punches, that embrace everything that I just told you. So that would be my advice.
Well, thank you for that advice. I'll make sure to keep that in mind too, about the butterflies in my stomach when they come.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big step. I mean, I've acted in a short little horror story back actually, it would be 5 years ago this October.
Okay.
So I definitely think, it is different when you go from acting to directing, and you see a lot of that even in the Hollywood days, but even in indie you see that as people that are indie actors want to become a indie director, because they either were told or they have this great idea and they think and they usually are the ones that are good enough to make it happen and make it in a way like as you guys, or you, I should say, Lane, is you're making it in the way that you want it to be seen, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and that's why a lot of people, that's why indie is being embraced. And nowadays, everyone says it, but it's true. It's a lot easier to get that. It's a lot easier, to do it that way. Now once you get into bigger budgets, you have to compromise and kind of, I don't want to say compromise, but kind of reach a compromise, I should say, and kind of work with, whoever is funding or whatever. And that's kind of why I like just independently funding it myself, because I can do what I feel I need to do with it, so it can be a passion project, and it can be something that is uniquely my voice. So as close to it as we can, given the parameters of what we have as far as equipment and stuff.
Fair enough. Yeah, that is very true too. So, I mean, I think if I'm gonna do this short too, I'm gonna try to get a hold of my other the guy that helped me or that I helped make the movie with 5 years ago, and I'm gonna see if they can also help me with either any advice or if I can like maybe have them come down and help me with sound design and stuff like that. Maybe they can give me some pointers as well.
Yeah, I think that's the best way too, man. You know, definitely start with them because you did work with them, you know, and they'll always remember that, you know. And even if and we were talking about this on the panel today too. You know, we need to redefine when we ask people to work for free, because the thing is, you know, you're not necessarily working for free. You know, it's you have something, I have a script to give you opportunity to act. You know, you're an actor, you have an opportunity to feed in to what I'm trying to do. You know, so it's really a reciprocity thing, the way we need to look at it. And so, you know, and definitely, you know, you going to talk to someone that you worked with before that has that rapport. That's a really powerful thing. I think that's a really powerful thing that you have there in your tool belt.
Yes. I can't like express how much I agree with that a lot. So yes, I do 100% agree with you, Wayne. And I think for the record is, so if anybody wants to see Becky or Deacon, your short there, where can people find your films?
So I release them and distribute them independently myself. They are both on frightboxfeatures.com. They're both on frightboxfeatures.com. Becky is there, really affordable. It's $5. Deacon is on there for $1. And you can go there and check them out. You can get them on a digital download, and so your phone, computer, what have you. You can enjoy it any way you'd like.
Very nice. Well, Wayne, thank you so much again for your time. I mean, I don't think I've forgotten anything. If I have, I mean, is there anything that I haven't touched on that you feel like, you know, should be addressed by you, or do you think we covered it all pretty good?
I think you all have. You know, just like I said, I distribute my stuff independently. I like to keep it at an affordable price for horror fans because I know things are getting tight out here, and you know, people are saying it'll get tighter in 2020 and stuff. And so I'm proud to be able to accomplish a lot of things that I want to in life with the horror genre. You know, I'm proud to say that, you know, the horror genre is something that's really fed into my life, and I've been able to use it to feed into others. And so I just want to continue to do that, man. And I just thank you guys for having me on. Places like this space are very important, you know, for indie horror, to get different ideas out there. And just I just want to encourage you guys to keep going as well. And I wish you guys the best.
Well, I thank you for that, Wayne. And we'll definitely have to keep in touch so that way in the future maybe we can have you back on if you know, we don't run into any issues like we did trying to get in here. You get you in.
It'll be all right, man. I'd love to come back, man. It'll be all right.
All right. Well, awesome, Wayne. Well, tell you what, you have a good rest of your weekend. And Stacey, thank you so much for joining me. It was definitely a pleasure helping out. And everybody that's listening, go support Frightbox Features at frightboxfeatures.com. And like Wayne said, just download the movies right to your computer or phone or whatever. And I mean, $5 and $1 for Deacon and $5 for Becky. Check it out. And there's also posters. And well, I guess we'll see what Wayne got in store for the Frightbox in the future. And until next time, guys, make sure to always stay scary.